Hello, everyone. I am Renee Cobb, and welcome to Overtones Live.
Raise a barn and raise a roof. Horsepower of a different breed, built for comfort and for speed. And bluegrass don't need cutting. Mountain high and valley low, God beside me, here I go. Summer wind and bluegrass don't need cutting. Oh, the sun shines bright in the green rolling hills of our birth, and you're closer to heaven than any other place upon this earth.
Welcome, everyone. You are listening to a Singing Between the Lines edition of Overtones Live, and this week we are on the road coming to you from Radio Lex Studio in Lexington, Kentucky's Greyhound station. It takes a great community to make great community radio, and Radio Lex is a place where over 160 volunteers create original, hyper-local programming 24/7 in English on WLXU 93.9 FM, and today we are bringing you one of those hyper-local programs with Overtones Live. I'm Renee Collins-Cobb, and I am the host, and today we welcome you to one of our Singing Between the Lines special editions, where we welcome a guest to the studio, and we feature an album release from that artist. Today, we are very excited to welcome Cody Lee Meece in his 5th appearance on Overtones Live, and Cody Lee has just released a full-length album on vinyl, I believe?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, with his band, The Poor Excuses, titled Love Ain't Worth the Trouble. We're going to find out about that, whether it is worth the trouble or not, right, Cody? Cody Lee, once again, welcome to Overtones Live. Cody is a songwriter and composer from Somerset, Kentucky, who spent the majority of his teenage years rambling from couch to couch. At 18, he took a Greyhound bus to Nashville, Tennessee, only to find himself living on the streets for 4 months in pursuit of his dreams. And after a short stint back home, he hit the road again, spending time bouncing around Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. And during his travels, he picked up different flavors and styles of songwriting and storytelling. He has developed a deep, earthy, intimate, and very vulnerable writing style. Scars and tattoos tell the story of his life spent on the run in dark places, only to come out clean and wise. Well, I like all kinds of that. This is not your first album, as we mentioned, Cody, right?
Right.
You released one called The Break that I wrote about on our Overtones Live blog. And The Break is one of my favorite albums of all time. However, I kind of listened to yours this morning. It might be inching up there. But The Break had a collection of songs that were waiting to emerge in a recorded way for a while before it was made, right?
Absolutely.
And we heard a lot of those songs in the early parts of Overtones Live when you were at the Lyric with us in several shows, kind of releasing those. So what can you tell me about the string of quality work you've been able to provide for your fans over the last 5 years, even before COVID?
Well, I mean, I'm still digging through. I mean, I've got notebooks and things scattered everywhere. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make it, way more than does. But honestly, I've just been fortunate to get to pen a lot of songs that, you know, maybe at the time I didn't even really realize that I was trying to create necessarily a piece of work. I was just trying to make sense of what I was experiencing at the time and give some kind of hope to getting through it in some way. And I don't know. I'm fortunate that people like those songs. I mean, you know, because you never know. You every artist may have their favorites of their songs, and there are ones that I hold near and dear to my heart, maybe more than others, but you never know what people will like. So I'm really blessed and thankful.
Well, you know, I was looking through some of our old Overtones recordings this morning, and the very first time that Cody was on Overtones, he brought a wonderful song to us. Do you remember what that was?
Long Gone, I'm assuming? Yeah.
Yes, and I believe it was one of the first times you were kind of like performing that. We saw you do it at a couple of open mics, and it went really well, but honestly, in the studio, it was just as compelling as I also saw you do it when you were at Austin City Saloon doing one of our live shows.
And it makes me sad and it makes me lonely. I don't know where I'm gonna hang my hat, and everybody keeps trying to tell me that home is where the heart is at. But my heart's long gone and I'm never gonna get it back. I'm never gonna get it back. Yeah, it makes me sad and it makes me lonely. I don't know where I'm gonna hang my hat or where I'm gonna hang my hat. And everybody keeps trying to tell me that home is where the heart is at. But my heart's long gone and I'm never gonna get it back. I'm never gonna get it back.
Would you say that that song has kind of connected you with a lot of your fans in a lot of different ways? Or was that the start? Or do you feel that there's another song that really resonated with them?
That's a tough one. Long Gone, and since writing that song and performing that song, I've wrote the sequel to that song, which I hadn't really ever planned to nor wanted to, but it's the sequel to that one's called Memories of the Man, and it's about the passing of my grandpa, which happened on December 26th of 2020. So sometime after, my mamaw had passed, and those songs, it's hard to want to share them fully, really give them their due in a live setting, because they're so close to you and they're so vulnerable that there's a fear of sharing those things with people. Mm-hmm. Because man, what if they think this song's just not good, and here this thing is that means a lot to me. So you never know how it will be received, but it has been received well, both of those songs, and it's always really nice to hear someone come up to you after a show. I mean, the compliments on guitar playing or stage presence, that stuff's wonderful, that's great, and I do appreciate it, but the most meaningful stuff is when someone comes up to you and says, hey man, that song about your grandma or your grandpa, that really touched me, and it made me think about, my grandma or my uncle or my whoever, and it's you realize that, in sharing those things, not only is it received well, but you get a whole lot back from doing it. Mm-hmm. And so, again, thankful, best.
I don't know if you recall when you sang that song and you had come over to our home for a little while, because you and I believe John New were going over to the Twisted Cork to perform that night. But by the time that we got home and we did that one live in the studio, it had already had like 16,000 views in just a few, less than an hour, and it to this day is one of our most well-viewed videos. So it was this really remarkable song, and we're going to talk more about the songs that you have on this album, but I thought it was really important to set the stage with your amazing songwriting ability, and that's what I think we've done today. We also have some other guests in the studio today. Let's have you all introduce yourself and what your role is.
I'm Scott Spencer. I'm just Cody's best friend. That's all I do.
And super fan.
Yeah, I am a super fan of his. And I agree with you that I think Long Gone is definitely one of Cody's best songs, if not his best. I mean, I love that song. Made me cry the first time I heard it.
Yeah. And we have David Royse with us. David?
Yep, my name's David Royse. My job is to carry Scott's bag around, so that's why I'm here. No, I'm with Feels Right, and that's a little entity that that we set up, frankly, to help Cody. some close, very dear friends of mine that like music and that we've seen a lot of live music together, and had occasion to meet Cody and wanted to do whatever we could to help him because number one, we thought that he was a very good human being and somebody that you'd like to be in a foxhole with. And then secondly, we saw his incredible music talent and wanted to make sure other people saw it. So there's no real label for what I do. I don't know that I do any of it very well, but at the end of the day, it's just to help Cody, whatever that looks like and whatever that means. So I don't put a title on it.
Well, we are so glad to have you all here. Thank you for coming. Let me start off by asking the two of you all. Let me ask you, do you have a favorite song on this album?
On this album, I have to say probably Turn the Lights Out.
Okay.
And really, it's the guitar at the end, which the album kind of fades on. That's the end of the album, and it just fades out with that solo going off. And seeing that song live is totally different, and it's just an awesome song.
Okay, and David. It's hard to pick, isn't it?
Yeah, it's different every day. I got to be there and see these songs. Well, let me step back. I got to sit in Cody's living room and talk about, what songs ought to go on this album, and watch his process. And I said, well, let me hear what that sounds like. And he'd play it on an acoustic with Carissa sitting there and Paul, the dog. And then going into the studio and seeing how that evolved and what songs ended up there and how they got recorded, and then now listening to them on the radio and streaming and on the album, on any given day, there's one or two of them that hit me differently than others. So I think there's something on there for everybody. I totally do. It's got such a broad range to it, and the quality is consistent throughout. So no, you're not going to get me to say one's my favorite.
Okay.
Good luck. Cody.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Well, we're going to start off with the opening song, Cody, and that is Can't Never Could. What a great title. And, David and I talked about, he said there a lot of thought went into the order of these songs. So what can you tell us about your decision to make it somewhat of a slower song, right, at the very beginning? Slower paced song?
Yeah, it's also very complicated, and you may not believe it. But
try me.
I didn't really think about, okay, man, when we go to put this thing out, what order are they going to be in? That really wasn't, I'm not the guy that thinks about those things. I just try to think about the songs and, what we can do, and then taking everybody else's, ideas into account. I'm not a ones and zeros. And so I just imagine it'll just go out there and it'll sort itself out. Well, when we got the files initially to listen to it on our free time, about our lives, I always loved the order that they were in. I felt that it told a story in a real natural way, and it really runs the gamut of emotion, and it ends up beginning with telling the story of my life and where I'm at now, and it ends on this search to do and be better, to flip the script, and search for that better, more meaningful thing. But while it worked out that way in such a beautiful way, to be totally honest, they're in alphabetical order.
Really? Oh my gosh.
And how or why it just worked out so beautifully, I'll never know. And then there was the talk of we need to change it because it's in alphabetical order. We can't put that out. And I tried to rearrange it numerous times and move these pieces around, and it just kept feeling wrong. And I thought, we can't leave it in alphabetical order. Well, why can't we? I mean, if it works that well and it tells the story that beautifully, maybe we just take it for that's how it's supposed to be, and we just go on. there it is. You know, it's been like everything else in this whole process. It's just been very kismet, and things have just fallen into place, and all the right people have been at the right places in the right moments, and it's been wonderful.
I love this story. Oh my goodness. And now I'm like going back and looking at this list, and I'm like, I can't believe I didn't like figure that out.
I would have loved to have heard what you thought that went into the order.
Well, I'll be sharing some of that because like I said, I've kind of got some theories, but what a great place to start, because that title to me says something that's very symbolic about you. And Cody to me has always been the very positive person that really often like helps other people's spirits stay up. And I've really seen a very proactive spirit come from you ever since we first met you, despite a lot of things that happen in your life, right? Mm-hmm. So Can't Never Could is what we're going to listen to first. Here it is.
Fighting these demons this week seems harder than last. And if I keep on getting this sinking old feeling, I don't know how long that I'll last. Let me ask you one question now, friend. How do you still pray to Jesus and pick up the pieces when nothing left pleases you? Oh, these times, oh, these times. Since the first breath I'd taken, I've been forsaken and tossed way out in the dark. Then people seem to wonder why I don't mind the thunder and lightning lighting up the yard. Maybe I've gone too far from where I started to start. And turning back now got me thinking things might be better in all this weather if I just jump ship and drown. Oh, these times, oh, these times. Yeah, every day I wake I can't tell how I feel, except somewhere between a heathen and a driving wheel. Hungry for attention and trying to hide between falling off the wagon and catching a ride. I've tried, I'd say, but maybe I'd be a liar. I built myself a prison just to set it on fire. And I'd like to say I can't, but that ain't no good. 'Cause can't never could. I didn't get to be a kid, so I grew up quick, and I guess I didn't grow up right. I started drinking whiskey instead of water, sleeping through the morning and staying out all damn night. They had me feeling like James Dean in a small town scene, yeah, but they never come to see me in jail. Ain't those the kind of friends when shit hits the fan, you're the only fool standing around? Damn those times, damn those times. Yeah, every day I wake I can't tell how I feel, except somewhere between a heathen and a driving wheel. Hungry for attention and trying to hide between falling off a wagon and catching a ride. I've tried, I'd say, but maybe I'd be a liar. I built myself a prison just to set it on fire. And I'd like to say I can't, but that ain't no good. never could. Before long I found a little bit of crystal and it had me standing up on my head. I didn't have to sleep and I never had to eat. Yeah, I was trying all I could to be dead. Between dead and dying is where I resided, and I seemed to spend most of my time. Every day I got over, I just got closer to heading for my home in the sky. And goddamn those times, damn those times. Yeah, every day I wake, I can't tell how I feel, except somewhere between a heathen and a driving wheel. Hungry for attention and trying to hide between falling off a wagon and catching a ride. I've tried, I'd say, but maybe I'd be lying. I built myself a prison just to set it on fire. And I'd like to say I can't, but that ain't no good. Yeah, I'd like to say I can't, but that ain't no good. 'Cause can't never could.
And that was Can't Never Could by Cody Lee Meece from the album Love Ain't Worth the Trouble. So Cody draws his influence and inspiration from a combination and perfect blend of genres, including blues, rockabilly, Motown, country, and folk. And folks, you will hear this all represented in not only your first album, but the second one too. He's both a very soulful singer and an accomplished picker. And Cody's blend of all these genres offer the listener an experience they will not ever forget. So, Cody, let's speak to the next two songs on the album. Now that we know that they're in alphabetical order, folks, we're on D now. And again, these are from the album Love Ain't Worth the Trouble. Folks, we're going to hear them in order. So if you're following along, the next one is Don't Meet Your Heroes and Get Me Out of This Place. What can you tell us about those two songs? And one of them is a favorite of mine from, I think you've sang Get Me Out of This Place for a while.
Yeah, it's been hanging around for a minute. And Don't Ever Meet Your Heroes was, yet again, it's not a song that I had necessarily set out to write. I just found myself in the middle of a situation that I was trying to figure out how to say something. You know, I often struggle with how to communicate feelings and emotions just through dialogue. Even in my personal life, I struggle, but seem to have no problem just putting it in a song. You can imagine how crazy it drives my wife. But I went through a lot of, we all go through personal stuff, and I've went through my share throughout time. I'm really blessed and thankful to be in a good place now, but at the time that I had wrote Don't Ever Meet Your Heroes, there was a place in Somerset, Jarfly Brewing Company, that held these wonderful open mics, and a lot of young kids started coming around, and it was a great place for, you know, myself and others to workshop new material and try new things and find those places. And before long, you know, I realized that some of these younger folks were, you know, looking up to me, you know, as far as how to do things musically, and in their own words, as some kind of hero. And while on one hand that's very beautiful, and it is it is appreciated. There's the other side of that coin that is, hey, whoa, hold up, man. Before you go looking up to me, you need to realize a whole lot of things, which is one that I'm just a person that struggles every single day. I have my own messes, my own things, Look for someone better to model yourself after, And also these songs, I've just stumbled on them, so don't look to me for that either. I've been just very, yet again blessed and fortunate, so whether it's a positive song or not, I'm really not sure. I think that one's just open to interpretation, but like all of them, I did try my best.
It's a fun song. It's a fun song.
Thank you. And
Get Me Out of This Place.
Get Me Out of This Place. I wrote that song actually after helping Daniel Stroud work on his minivan one day. This has been, I guess, a couple years ago now. And I got back to the house, and I was going to get cleaned up and grab my acoustic and head on down to Jarfly to meet with Daniel. And as I get cleaned up, I grab my guitar, and I go to walk out the door. And as I grab the doorknob, just kind of from nowhere, this song popped in my head. And I guess sometimes you don't know what a song's about really till you let it wear on you, and that goes for the person that writes it, at least in my case. What does it even mean? I still can't figure Tongue Twister out, but
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's that feeling of just not belonging anywhere. You try to be a human, and you try to do good and be good, and you get let down a lot, and you let yourself down a lot. And sometimes the only thing you can think is just get me off of this ride, please, get me out of here. And with the song, I at least tried to tell that, but in a kind of tongue-in-cheek way, a way that you can kind of laugh about and get over yourself and move on. At least I have to,
Yeah. Do you all have any comments about those two songs?
YouTube played a little influence in Get Me Out of This Place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I guess that's where a lot of that had stemmed from. Was I like to watch a lot of hot rod shows on YouTubes every now and then, or at least I did before life got so busy. I don't find time for it much anymore, which may be a good thing. But I was doing some late night scrolling on YouTube, and there was this random video of like this cargo ship sinking in the ocean, this big boat, and I was like, sure, I'll give it a watch. And for whatever reason, I did, and as I did, there was just this like real creepy, crawly feeling up my spine and I was like, what in the world? You kind of like, why is this even happening? I'm not really afraid of much, usually because I'm too dumb, not brave. But, I thought, well, let me try another one, man. That's a really weird thing. And I watched a few more of these big boats sinking in the ocean, and I just couldn't get rid of that feeling. And somehow or another, that just seeded in my mind and brewed this wild song. I don't know. And
fascination with boats.
Yeah, fascination with boats. And then you take into, another thing that I don't want it to get lost on the world, and I really don't think it could just due to how great they are, is that the musicians in this band are just as much owed a thank you or whatever if you like the songs, or a pat on the back or an attaboy, because I wrote all these songs, and you write them and you think to yourself, like, man, I know exactly how these would sound if I just had the resources to get in the studio. And, you think you really know. And once we got in there with the time we had, if it hadn't been for the people that we'd had as a part of that project, Daniel, Severin, and Logan, and the guests that we had as well, these are just, other than that, they're just words on paper somewhere. So,
yeah.
Credit where it's due.
We are going to talk more about that, and I want to hear all about the recording process and also how you did that. But that answers a question for me, because I could hear a lot of influence on that from bands that we've heard before. But I'm just so thankful you're here. We're going to hear Don't Meet Your Heroes and Get Me Out of This Place. And we're going to hear another song in a 3-set song list here, Just Hold the Door. So we'll talk about that as well as we hear this amazing set of most excellent body of songwriting work that Cody Lee Meece has produced.
Just another classic case of don't you ever meet your heroes. Yeah, 'cause I don't need the pressure and you don't need to let them down.
Hey, won't you wait a minute, friend? Well, let me ask you a favor. Yeah, keep your compliments thin and your admiration way down low. And let me begin by saying I ain't no savior, just another half-ass picker and a singer of them old sad songs. Left all my excuses in the past, I ain't ever looking back. Just another classic case of don't you ever meet your heroes. Yeah, 'cause I don't need the pressure and you don't need to let them down. How do you measure a man who's standing 2 feet tall? Yeah, who had the world in his hands and he knew it and he blew it all. I hope that you understand what I say in my songs. Yeah, I give you every damn direction in the world that you never should walk. I ain't even been riding lately, been waiting on a song to save me. Just another classic case of don't you ever meet your heroes. Yeah, 'cause I don't need the pressure and you don't need to let them down. Hey! Just another classic case of don't you ever meet your heroes. Yeah, 'cause I don't need the pressure and you don't need to let them down. Hey! Yeah, well, I reckon there's a reason that I got a fascination with boats. Yeah, I'm just waiting on my ship to sail into port and take me home. I'm guessing that's the satisfaction that I get from staring at planes. It's just me waiting on that thing to get me out of here before I go insane. Get me out of this place. Won't you carry me home? Yeah, 'cause I just ain't never been to anywhere I feel I belong. When I just don't understand why I'm feeling so down. Yeah, or just what it is that keeps this fool hanging around. Yeah, I've been known to do some burning tires in them old cars. Yeah, but no matter how I try, them wheels, they don't get me too far. I've been known to hum a little tune with that old train. Me and that old locomotive, well, I reckon we both feel the same. Get me out of this place. Won't you carry me home? Yeah, 'cause I just ain't never been to anywhere I feel I belong. When I just don't understand why I'm feeling so down. Yeah, or just what it is in this world. Is it booze, is it money, is it that old girl that keeps this soulful hanging? Keeps me hanging, keeps me hanging around. Won't you carry me home? Yeah, 'cause I just ain't never been to anywhere I feel I belong. When I just don't understand why I'm feeling so down. Yeah, or just what it is that keeps this fool hanging around. Just what it is that keeps this fool hanging around. I'm rough and I'm rusty, and most days I'm just a shell. The game of life I've been playing, just who's playing who. It's getting harder to tell, but I find inspiration in each waking breath that we share. Honey, when I fall down, won't you just keep it going and give me some time? I'll be there. Just hold the door, and won't you keep it wide open? I'm trying to get out of the rain. Oh, I never fail to fail you, and I never fail to tell you I'm sorry all over again. And I keep trying harder and sometimes get farther, but most days just far as the floor. So if you leave me behind, I can't say I blame you, but if you don't mind, hold the door. Your strength and your patience, I've taken them time after time. And the guilt I've let take me so far in the hole that only your love light could shine. And it don't do justice, said simply as life just ain't fair. But honey, when I fall down, won't you just keep going and give me some time? I'll be there. Just hold the door, and won't you keep it wide open? I'm trying to get out of the rain. Oh, I never fail to fail you, and I never fail to tell you I'm sorry all over again. And I keep trying harder, and sometimes just forest floor. So if you leave me behind, I can't say I blame you, but if you don't mind, hold the door. Hey! Just hold the door, and won't you keep it wide open? I'm trying to get out of the rain. Oh, I never fail to fail you, and I never fail to tell you I'm sorry all over again. And I keep trying harder and sometimes get farther, but most days just forest floor. So if you leave me behind, I can't say I blame you, but if you don't mind, hold the door. I'm rough and I'm rusty, and most days I'm just a shell.
Welcome back, y'all, where y'all in Overtones speak means you are listening locally. How about that? And you just heard from the album Love Ain't Worth the Trouble by Cody Lee Meece. That was Don't Meet Your Heroes, Get Me Out of This Place. And the last song in that set was Just Hold the Door. So here's where I was going with this, David. Is the way that this is all starting is, can't, never could. So, we're kind of really positive here. And then we're getting a little warning here about don't assign a narrative to people without knowing really who they are. And you don't ask for those narratives often, do you? Mm-mm. And this seems to be a thing with a lot of singer-songwriters is that people, and I was talking actually to my husband about this, and we finally concluded that we think that people connect with music in a way that assumes relationship with the singer-songwriter at times. And I'm not trying to say this in a negative way, but this is what happens. And out of that comes a lot of narrative, right? About not your story, but it's the story that someone's listening to you is trying to place up on you. And I think, this is my theory, I think this is where a lot of disconnect comes sometimes, right? So I'm appreciative of a song like that. Because, somebody makes up a story or a narrative about what they think's going on in your life. And I mean, we can't help it. I listened to one band here, I'm not going to say who the band is, but I listened to their whole album to write a review on it. And after I listened to it, I was really worried about all three of them. And only because the words were so, just... everybody okay? Yeah. Or like, have they been going through something? It was during COVID too. So you heard a lot of really great songwriting come out of that time as well. But it didn't mean anything when I talked to them. They just, they're not autobiographical songs. So I just think that's really good. But you got, then you're kind of like, don't meet your heroes. And then it's like, oh gosh, get me out of this place. And I'm just going to hold the door open now while we do it. So that's where I was kind of going with. I thought this was kind of like a progressive pattern of start to finish. And we still have some more songs to go. So I'll tell you where I even went further with that.
And don't by the way, don't rule that out. It ended up alphabetical. And that's where it started because Jason Groves, the wonderful, wonderful studio engineer who helped us do this, that's the way he sent us the demos in alphabetical order. But when we started talking about song order, we went through a ton of different variations, just like Cody said, and ways that, well, what about if this is a message that underlies this? And, hey, this is also true. And we looked at a bunch of different ways. And then we ended up with this, but at the end of the day, that order is absolutely very intentional. And it's kind of like songs. I mean, Cody will tell you this. He writes a song based on something he's saying, but that's the beauty of music. How people interpret it, that's the beauty of creative art is everybody gets to make it their own. So the song order is the same way. And Cody had a reason for doing it the way he did, but it's the listener's freedom to choose what they want it to be about.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's awesome. So, as I mentioned previously, Cody's no stranger to Overtones Live, and I'm going to embarrass him a little bit here. And Cody, you may well have appeared at several of our locations over the years. We just interviewed John McHugh, who had released an album a couple weeks ago, and we figured out he'd been in almost every possible location of Overtones. So we don't stay still in any one spot. We've taken this show basically in a basement over at the Steam Academy to the Lyric Theater in the Green Room, and then when we got paralyzed by COVID, when we came out of that, we did a lot of online and repurposing of material, and the minute we could, we got back out, right, into duty at Austin City Saloon. And Cody was one of the very first bands that agreed to try this new format out, which, by the way, has become the format for Overtones Live. So we thank you for that. That was a great show. And I know, Scott, you were there too.
Yeah, I was there.
So also he's been at the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame with our Artists in Residence series, and you also accepted my call to do the live show at Austin City Saloon. I wrote about what I felt the live show experience is with Cody on our Overtones Live blog, and I just really want to quote this, if I may say so myself. I said, his live performances are authentic, electrifying, and compelling that ignites the spirit and essence of his unique personality, grace, humility, and musical acumen. His recordings both document the trajectory of his live experiences while simultaneously providing the listening ear with the raw, pure, and perfect emotions of both joy and pain. And that most likely creates a connectedness with our own life experiences as well. So, as a matter of fact, in a quote I carried with me by you a number of years ago, you shared that you would describe your songwriting as overcompensating.
Oh, for sure.
Do you remember that? So he's also said, I've seen some rough roads, and we all have, so hopefully I'll always have a song that not only I can say this is where I've been, but you can say, yes, I've been there too. And that really ties into what we were talking about earlier. So you just appeared on The Burl.
Yeah.
A stage recently, and I saw some really great film from that. Would you agree with my assessment that your life experiences creates a connectedness with everyone else's life experiences as well?
Yeah, so that's something that it's funny you say that, as The Burl the other night at the album release show was really the first time it hit me like a ton of bricks that, and I even told the crowd from the stage, like, this is so bizarre to me that, whether it's been at solo acoustic shows I've done or full band shows or festivals or whatever, like, there's so many of these people that, I've gotten to know over the last, probably 5 years of really pushing, trying to do this, and realizing that I know them individually, but that they don't really know each other, and that now they're all in these same places. And, I'm very grateful for the folks that come to my shows. I mean, I don't know what it is about me or what it is they see in me, but I just happen to attract the best people. Maybe it's because I'm the worst. I don't know. But,
Leave that for a minute.
It is really beautiful to see that, because that's what I've always hoped to do. I can't really express enough to people that, like, I wish I could say that I'm perfect and I'm awesome. I mean, I'm doing pretty good these days, but, I've had my struggles of trying to be a human being or even understand what that is and where, if I really have the strength to handle these things, then where is it? Because I don't see it right now. Mm-hmm. I have those same moments. So to see all these connections be made, whether people know it or not, if I'm giving you the amount of hope you tell me, just know that you're giving me back at least as much, if not more. So I'm yet again thankful and blessed.
Well, I know on the Burl stage, I've been up there just a few times to just introduce somebody, but you're pretty much blinded up there. It's really kind of hard to see, like, who's out there and who's doing what. But what do you think a stage performance like ones at the Burl do for both the performer and also the people that are enjoying the music?
Man, you could do a lot with that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's just going to vary human being to human being, really, and that's probably even guys in the band. Daniel Logan or Severn might have a totally different experience than even I do, but for me personally, it's wonderful. It can be scary, just to be totally honest and transparent. It's because you don't know what the show's going to be. You spend your days leading up to a show like that, and you have all these worries and concerns, and you're dotting every I and you're crossing every T. You're trying to make sure nothing can go wrong, and then you get there and you're still kind of looking around, and then you get to that moment. At least I did personally on stage the other night of like, oh man, like this might actually, I think this is working. And it's the pull and tug that happens with an audience in a venue with a little pressure is such, I think, a beautiful thing. And I think that that's where you get your best performances a lot of times, especially if you can just totally give yourself to the audience and let it be what it's going to be. It'll be wonderful.
So I'm assuming the two of you all were present the other night, were you?
Yeah.
So
I was carrying
let's
Scott's
talk
bag.
about what it's like to watch, because Warren and I do this a lot. We go to see artists that we know here locally, but we go to see them out of town. And love to see the reaction, right, from people that do not know who these artists are. And I'm not implying that that's the way that it was at the Burl, but what do you like to observe, and what do you see when you look at the audience and try to feel out, okay, they're really, really resonating with this one song? So, Scott, looks like you're being voluntold to answer this question.
Well, I really think it's cool to see him up there telling his stories, and like Cody's had a wild life, and a lot of people are just like, holy cow, he's lived through that, or and then a lot of people identify because they've been through a similar situation in their life, and to see him up there in front of a crowd and he's just got them, I mean, I love seeing Cody play. I've seen him play I don't know how many times, probably hundreds. And he's one of the best performers that I've ever seen in my life. And I say that not because I'm his friend, but because it's true. And I've seen a lot of performers do their thing.
Yeah.
And you put a guitar in that guy's hand and put him on a stage in front of people, and he just goes off. I don't know how to explain it, but he just goes off.
It's something to see. I mean, it's my first introduction to Cody was not that long ago. I got invited by one of my friends that's in Feels Right, supporting Cody with me, to go see a Goose Creek tribute show. I think at Manchester, maybe a year or so ago. And I was going to the bathroom, and this guy walks by me, fairly young-looking guy, in a full nudie suit and a hat. And I was like, dang, that's pretty strong. I went to the bathroom. I came back out. I was standing there with my buddy, Stephen Howard, and I said, check this out. I just saw a guy in a nudie suit walking out of the bathroom. He said, really? Well, about 5 minutes later, this guy walks out on stage in a nudie suit and absolutely shreds a Telecaster, and it's Cody Lee Meece.
Was that you, Cody?
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
So I know what my first experience was like seeing him, and I've seen the Allman Brothers at the Beacon. I've seen the Dead. I've seen the Stone. I've seen it all in small venues and big venues, and there's some magic to performers that are genuine and authentic, but also are true showmen or showwomen. And Cody gets it. What's odd to me, Scott, I bet it is you too, what's odd to me is getting to know Cody one-on-one as a person, and what it's, I mean, we can sit here and talk about a ball game or the weather or anything else, and then to see that same guy get on stage and go, wow, he's got that in him too, and it's so different. So that's a really cool thing to get to see for people like me and Scott, I think.
Yeah, he's really just, I mean, if you know him personally, he's just the most humble guy, And then you see him, if I didn't know him and saw him up on stage, I would probably be like, wow, this guy's probably super arrogant, because he's just great.
Yeah.
But he's just a so humble guy that, I mean, I love the dude,
Cody, are you an introvert?
Yeah, a great deal.
And you've taught yourself to be an extrovert.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a little more complicated than that, maybe. But yeah,
You could be an ambivert. That means you're a little bit of both.
I can swim. Yeah. Yeah. No. No. I don't really know. It truly for me. It really is two very different sides of myself. I mean, I hate to say it's a Jekyll and a Hyde, but it kind of is in a way. I mean, my first memories of really wanting to perform are of probably about 5 years old, maybe. And I might even told you this story before, but I remember like cutting out what I thought was a guitar shape out of a big old piece of cardboard, probably a refrigerator box or something, with my grandpa, and I had a boom box in my floor of my room, and a Skinner cassette tape that I got from my cousin Chris, and I would, I grew up in a lot of turmoil. Well, I would just close the door and I would turn that on and I would just hop around, and I don't really know what it was that called me, inside of myself to perform, to do that. But it's something that, it's just that I've always been drawn to do it. But also, the older I get, you change and you grow. I'm still chasing the dream that I've been pursuing for 17 years. Which, when I think of it that way, boggles my mind. That I've even held on this long.
Well, what you're describing is purpose, right? And in my classes that I do, I think that comes at a very early age, and we don't invent it. The people that are trying to invent it don't do as well with it. But what you're describing is that you detected it.
If you say so. I mean, I'd hate to give myself that much credit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that just tells you it's kind of like this innate ability to really know. And we hear all kinds of stories. I mean, it's just like I've been listening to even celebrity stories. You always hear this, like, they were like practicing accepting an Academy Award speech, like in front of a mirror at a very early age. And, that was a sign that, this was probably something more. And that's what I always tell people with children. I say, if you ask them what they want to be when they grow up and they say a different thing every time, never, ever discount that, because that's the first sign of vision and first sign that they're really detecting what their purpose is. So that's my theory on how that happened for you.
I like it.
You like it. Well, if we're keeping alphabet soup totals here, we left off at the J for Just Hold the Door. Now, whether that was open or shut, I don't think we've defined, but the next two songs kind of, again, go along with my theory here that love ain't worth the trouble. So just hold the door. Just forget it. Love ain't worth the trouble. And then we're going to apologize for everything.
Well, you got to. You got it.
And that's, we're up to S, people. Love Ain't Worth the Trouble, which is the title song, and Sorry for Everything. So what can you say are some of the most significant lines of these songs that people have told you have resonated with them? You have favorites?
Do I? Yeah. Man, seldom do I have a favorite line in any of my own material. Or at least as far as anyone needs to know. But one that I will say that, Turn the Lights Out, I hate to go ahead and even get to it, but it's really the best. It's got one of the best lines in it that I think I've ever wrote, and it's the one that it calls to me as a reminder. I have to. It's hard to be a human, but. What's the bridge? You probably know it right off better than I do. You'll hear the song. But the bridge.
There comes a time in every young man's life.
Yeah, there comes a time in a young man's life when he's got to decide what he should throw away and what he needs. And if I had me a nickel for every time I was right, well, Lord, I'd be short on change, and changing's what she needs. It's.
Wow.
Yeah, it's. You got to realize your faults and your flaws. Because if you don't, look, everybody else is going to do it for you. So you got to try to look inward and tackle those things yourself. And I say that as a reminder yet again here now to myself. We all got a lot we got to face, but don't ever get lost on thinking that you can't change it. Or, it's going to be maybe even a rough road to do so, but you'll be all right, I promise.
Because can't never could, right?
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah.
We're back to C. So here is the album title song, Love Ain't Worth the Trouble, followed by Sorry for Everything, words and music by Cody Lee Meece.
trying, but every second I do, I just feel like I'm dying. Why is trying so hard? Why do I fall so short when I wanna go so far? And I know you hear me. I know good goddamn well you can hear when I'm crying, and I'm crying, but at least only most of the time. Yes, and love ain't worth the trouble. Love ain't worth the trouble. It's put me through, hey, and it's put me through so much more than I thought I could do. Can you feel me? Can you feel me? Well, honey, if you can't, won't you just get near me? This distance I can't stand. It's left me here alone, too much damn time on my hands. And I know you feel it. I know good goddamn well you can feel that I'm shaking, and I'm shaking. Can't tell if it's the booze or you or the sound of my heart breaking. But love ain't worth the trouble. Love ain't worth the trouble. It's put me through, hey, and it's put me through so much more than I thought we could do. Yes, and love ain't worth the trouble. Love ain't worth the trouble. It's put us through, hey, and it's put us through so much more than I thought we could do. Yeah, can you dig it? Can you dig it? Well, honey, if you can't, won't you just get with it? I'm feeling only lost. Both laid love on the line and come up broken. Lord, what that cost? I know you sense it. I know good goddamn well you can sense it all falling, and I'm calling, but you ain't calling me She hates my reckless drinking, and I hear it all the time. But it's the only thing that seems to keep her bitching off my mind. Well, she sure can't stand my rambling, but I never could sit still. So I just as soon drive this car till it falls right off its wheels, and I wanna get drunk. Hey, I wanna catch a buzz. Yeah, I wanna stumble around till I'm falling down and do everything a drunkard does. I wanna get wild. I wanna get real mean. Yeah, I wanna call you in the morning and say sorry for everything. Well, her mama says I'm worthless. Well, I reckon she's right. That's why she's at home just to watch them babies. I'm out running around all night. Well, you'd reckon a man of my living and all of them dirty old roads I've run. I might just think that home is the place to go, but I'm out here having my fun 'cause I wanna get drunk. Hey, I wanna catch a buzz. Yeah, I wanna stumble around till I'm falling down and do everything a drunkard does. I wanna get wild, wanna get real mean. Yeah, I wanna call you in the morning and say sorry for everything. Well, I'm out there running them same damn roads that I'd swore I'd never run again. And as soon as I go to pour out all the booze, I find the bottom is my only friend. So I crack me open another one, pop a top and set 'em up now, Joe. Because my woman run off and she took the kids, and now I got no place to go. So I wanna get drunk. Hey, I wanna catch a buzz. Yeah, I wanna stumble around till I'm falling down and do everything a drunkard does. I wanna get wild. I wanna get real mean. Yeah, I wanna call you in the morning. Oh, I'm gonna call you in the morning. Yeah, I wanna call you in the morning and say sorry for everything.
Folks, that was Love Ain't Worth the Trouble and Sorry for Everything. And Cody, you need make no apologies for being here today, as we are hearing some great new stuff from you, and I'm thankful you are here today to talk about it. One of the other aspects of albums on these special edition album release shows that we do here on Overtones is to explore our working in concert mission and belief that hones in on the spirit of collaboration in the music community, especially when there's an album to be made. So let's talk about that next, the actual recording experience itself. Who can we thank for engineering this album, and whose musical, instrumental, and vocal work contributes to the background and landscape of these words that you've blessed us with?
So there's definitely a lot in there. As far as who helped us even make it possible, touching a board, that would be Jason Groves. Prior to working together, I had heard Jason's name and knew of him and kind of had some near misses with working together over the last couple of years that never materialized. I'd still never got to meet him. So when David and the team had approached me about doing this album, I even talked to Daniel. Daniel's kind of, I've always considered the Poor Excuses kind of mine and Daniel's baby. Really is how it's been. It's not, certainly not just me, and he does a lot more than I do. Don't be mistaken. We were kind of trying to figure out, where would we want to do this, and we had, a few ideas. Well, then David had said, Sneak Attack, and I was like, well, I'm not. Yeah, let's get on a call, and I guess, and so we ended up talking, me and Jason and David on a call, and I just within seconds, I'm just like, I like this guy. I could tell pretty quickly that we really had a similar mind about making or at least capturing music and sound. And once we got in there, it was so it's a breath of fresh air to work with an engineer who's really not interested in shaping your sound, but is interested in capturing your sound. You can beat your head against the wall with some guys, and I'll never name names. I think it's just not well done, But every artist should get to make their sounds, and he was just really good about doing that. So I really can't recommend him highly enough. Then, on bass, guitar, and also claps and backing vocals on some stuff is Daniel Stroud, who I play guitar in Daniel's project Sleeping Dogs, which is also very, very awesome stuff. But then on, let's see, he played piano, he played organ, he played the drums, which he primarily does with us. But he's a man of many talents. He also did some clapping and who knows what else. But Severin Edmondson.
Fantastic.
We ended up bringing Severin on as a full-time member some months ago. It was just kind of a natural transition as a lot of things moved and shaped for everyone that was in the band at the time and moving forward. Things are just a season, and as, he came in, there's, you get used to one person and you don't know what's going to happen, but man, it's just like at every twist and turn, he's just been so wonderful to have around. He's such a great guy. He's got such a great ear for music. He's done a lot, so he knows his stuff. And then on pedal steel, which is an instrument that as much as I love it, I'll never understand. If you've ever tried to play one, it's like trying to fly a helicopter, I guess, probably, right?
I see a lot of musicians trying and they're videotaping their experience, but I just assume that it's very difficult.
Yeah, well, Logan Henry's got it figured out.
Yes, he does. There's not very many people around here that do that.
Well, and I think that also, it's just a lost art, really.
It is.
It's gone the way of the dodo, just about it, But you do see more and more younger folks, taken to it and even, appreciating it within song, And it's nice to see the pedal steel making a comeback and guys like Logan Henry leading the charge.
And if you choose to learn that instrument, you're probably going to be employed a whole lot. That's what I've just told. They're just great utility players. And you see Logan shows up with a lot of people.
Well, and also, so far I've noticed with pedal steel players, at least the two that I've known, is their knowledge of theory is it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I'm just the guy that writes songs and plays a guitar, that he knows a lot.
Yeah. And there's a lot to that as well.
We also had a couple guests. We had Annie Beck on backing vocals.
Oh, nice.
Turn the Lights Out, as well as Love Ain't Worth the Trouble, I'm pretty sure, right?
I think so, yeah.
And then we also had Joshua Cohen, I believe I'm saying that right, on horns for Susanna and Sorry for Everything. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
wow.
yeah.
Well, those are the two that we're going to hear next.
Well,
because,
far out.
as mentioned, we're alphabetizing here. So we had two S's.
Yeah.
Two S's.
What can you do?
So
We planned it.
We're going to hear Susanna, which is just kind of a name, I guess, that was just out of the blue. But Turn the Lights Out is your final song, and you've talked about that's your favorite. But what can you tell us about Susanna?
Susanna, the story behind that one is pretty interesting. I had, my wife and I, Carissa, hello, she's out there somewhere. She's actually in Cincinnati right now. It's a long story, life's wild. But she'll be back home tomorrow, good Lord willing. But we were, her and I were at Jarfly one night watching B. Taylor in the band, which if you're familiar with B. Taylor, you're definitely a fan. But we were watching her, and she was telling this story before she sang this song, and I wish I could remember what song it was, but she was telling the story about how she was from Texas, and it just, as soon as she had even mentioned being from Texas, it sparked this imagination in my mind, because while I've only spent 1 week in Austin once in my life, Texas is my favorite place I've ever been. I love the weather, the scenery, everything about it. But well, here I go again. As soon as she had mentioned it, I just go off in my mind, and I thought, man, I really want to write a song about Texas. So I went into the control room, and I found a piece of paper, and I tore a corner off, and I wrote a note to myself, I want to write a song about Texas. And then I just kind of threw it in my pocket and just went about my night. And the next day, I was kind of fumbling through my pockets and kind of not really with the world just yet. And I found this note, and I was like, what in the world is this? And it had said, I want to write a song about Texas. And I was like, oh, yeah, I did want to do that. So I sat down to write it, and what I ended up really writing about, and I didn't realize that I would, is it's just a lot of stuff that I'd been going through at that time. I had done a few runs out in Missouri, and I'd had my share of bumps and bruises, learning the road and coming back home and licking my wounds, and coming to the realization that I really don't like being out in the world without my wife a whole lot. I don't, she's my other person, and really, I don't like me on my own.
That's when you know it's real.
Yeah, I'm sad. I'm a bummer. It's just not
Feel
good.
incomplete.
Yeah. And I used to feel that void with things that aren't so healthy. But as I've gotten to be a healthier person in my life and my choices, well, you just kind of got to sit there and be sad about it.
You look the best I've ever seen you. I mean,
Well,
you
thank
always
you.
look great.
Thank
But
you.
I'm
I
just
feel
saying,
great.
it's just like you're the epitome of health and fitness here
I
today.
don't know if I'll go that far.
We can dream.
Hey, I've known him a long time, and he's healthier and he has better habits than he's
Yeah.
ever had since I've known him.
Well, that's just awesome. And you surround yourself with great people, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
blessed to do so, yeah.
So, what do you all have to add as we kind of go into the final two songs? Anything else that comes to mind with how you feel about this project, and what do you think it means for Cody going forward?
Well, I love the album. I don't really know what to say other than I think Cody's like one of the most talented people that I know, and this album, just being able to see it come together, and I've listened to some of these songs when, like, the first night that he started them, and to see them evolve, and then to be there for band rehearsals, and then in the studio, and then now to see it out on blue vinyl, it's just mind-blowing. And I
it's
couldn't be
blue?
more happy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to look at it.
But, just seeing it all come together, I couldn't be more happy for Cody, and I hope the future is just tons more of way better stuff.
Well, we thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks.
David, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I guess what I would say, Renee, is I won't get too down in the weeds about that. There's something a lot bigger going on here than this album and this music. It wasn't an accident that I showed up at a Goose Creek show. It wasn't an accident that Cody's gone through some of the life experiences he has, that he bumped into Scott somewhere along the way. And little tongue-in-cheek, this album title and the title track, Love Ain't Worth the Trouble, because when you've been around this project, there is a ton of love here. The feeling in that studio, the feeling getting to be around that band, watching how Jason Groves loved this project, and there's just something a lot bigger that's going on here. And look, I want material success for Cody, and I want people to hear his music, and I want this band to be successful, but we can only do so much to control that. What I know is they put down some really good music, and it's available for people if they want to listen to it. But there's something much bigger going on there than just trying to sell records. I think that'll be evident to people that listen to this or people that get to spend a few minutes around Cody Lee Meece.
Well, I agree with that. And it just seems like the people that are out there doing this right, that's a very common story about something much bigger is going on. And when you talked about, the experience with Jason too, and you mentioned, the difference between working with one engineer versus another engineer, but what he's actually doing is preserving music as well. And that's a big calling as well. And that's why there's probably an inner calling to do that the best that he can do, because this is preserving your history.
Well, yeah, it's been a wild journey. I don't really listen to my own stuff, but I creeped into the break and just I cracked it open for just a second, and I don't even remember what song I was listening to. I've flushed that from my memory since, but I might need to start doing it more because it really is wild. Now that I realize that, well, dang, for the last 5 years I've just been kind of putting my life out there for everybody to follow along. I didn't really realize that that's why I was doing it first. I was just trying to make songs. So I'm really glad that it's been well received, and I hope people keep listening.
That's called being authentic and genuine.
I'm trying.
And I think you do that better than a lot of people.
Well, so, thank you.
Here are Susanna and Turn the Lights Out.
Song about Texas and dancing in the rain, but without you I don't wanna go. It just don't seem to please my soul. It'd just be a wasting shame. So just forget old Colorado and them spaghetti western skies. I'll just drag my ass back home, 'cause all this me alone, it just makes me wanna die. Whoa, Susanna, can't you hear me? I'm calling on the phone, but you ain't picking up, and it makes me think you ain't alone. Susanna, I'm just begging you that I'm wrong. I'm on my way back through Missouri, by way of Oklahoma. Got some stops I gotta make, got some shots I gotta take, and I gotta take them on my own. And then it's back home to Kentucky, so I can go back to Cussing Hills. Them flatlands call me to roam, running's all I've ever known, and you make me wanna come home still. Whoa, Susanna, can't you hear me? I'm calling on the phone, but you ain't picking up, and it makes me think you ain't alone. Susanna, I'm just begging you that I'm wrong. you ain't picking up, and it makes me think you ain't alone. Susanna, I'm just begging you that I'm wrong, that I'm wrong. Well, I thought I was the strongest man in the world. Lesson learned. I about lost my wife for love of the night and a thirst for doing wrong. Now to turn it all around is gonna have to be some bridges burned. But every bridge I'm burning only leads me to places that Lord knows I don't belong. Yeah, well, I come home late. She said your clothes are on the bed, and I said, baby, please forgive me. You're the only place I really wanna lay my head. Yeah, she said you're gonna have to change. You can't keep living this life. I've been staying up worried, never knowing if you're dead or if you're doing alright. Yeah, if you've ever done a woman wrong, then you know what I'm talking about. I think it's time I turn the car around and go back home, yeah. Oh, yeah, and turn the lights out. I'd been down every little highway, high and drunk, from Eubank to Alabama. But all my living on the road left me lonely and cold with no place to belong. And I tried to be all I could be, but the service wouldn't take me, so here I am. And I tried to be better just to keep on living, but I didn't think I'd live this long. Yeah, well, I come home late. She said your clothes are on the bed, and I said, baby, please forgive me. You're the only place I really wanna lay my head. Yeah, she said you're gonna have to change. You can't keep living this life. I've been staying up worried, never knowing if you're dead or if you're doing alright. Yeah, if you've ever done a woman wrong, then you know what I'm talking about. I think it's time I turn the car around and go back home, yeah. Oh, yeah, and turn the lights out. Well, there comes a time in a young man's life when he's got to decide what he should throw away and what he needs, and she's what I need. If I had me a nickel for every time I was right, well, Lord, I'd be short on change. And changing's what she needs, well, it's what she needs. Had the greatest love in the world and I almost lost it. Just glad I get to put my clothes on back in the closet. After I come home late, she said your clothes are on the bed, and I said, baby, please forgive me. You're the only place I really wanna lay my head. Yeah, she said you're gonna have to change. You can't keep living this life. I've been staying up worried, never knowing if you're dead or if you're doing alright. Yeah, if you've ever done a woman wrong, then you know what I'm talking about. Lord knows I done a woman wrong, so I know what I'm preaching about. Yeah, if you've ever done a woman wrong, then you know what I'm singing about.
Thanks for listening, everyone. That was Cody Lee Meece's song Susanna and Turn the Lights Out, which is what we're going to do right now. This seems like a great place to end this edition of Overtones Live, coming to you this evening from Radio Lex Studios from Greyhound Station in Lexington, Kentucky. And we have been bringing you Singing Between the Lines with Cody Lee Meece. Cody Lee, thank you so much for working in concert with us and making this happen today.
Thank you.
And of course, all of you in our listening audience for making a choice to listen locally this evening. As we close the show, you are listening to the Goodwin Brothers performing their award-winning song, Everyday Thing. And we hope that in going forward with your listening experience, you will make Cody Lee Meece, the Goodwin Brothers, and Overtones Live your everyday thing. Until next week, this is Renee Cobb working in concert each and every week to bring you the best this great state of Kentucky has to offer music fans, reminding you that where words fail, music always speaks. Have a great week filled with family, friends, music, and a lot of love. Listen locally, everyone.
It's a country band on a Friday night, a two-step dancing underneath the neon light. When they close the doors, we head on down. A truck stop breakfast at the edge of town. There's a lot to do in this big old world, lots of places we could go. We're too busy doing what we want right here close to home. Our love is an everyday thing, taking each day as it comes, making it grow like a sweet red rose through the rain and sun. It's so simple how we stay together, solid as a diamond ring. Our love is an everyday thing. Our love is an everyday thing, taking each day as it comes, making it grow like a sweet red rose through the rain and sun. It's so simple how we stay together.